My husband secretly added an app at midnight to get into my bank account, stole $400,000, and took a vacation. When he came back, he mocked me, saying, "Thanks to your phone, I really loved spending your $400,000. But I couldn't stop laughing because the bank data he accessed was actually. Have you ever had a moment where your entire world, everything you believed, shattered into a million pieces? Not with a scream, but with a silent, chilling buzz from your phone? That's where my story begins, at 2:45 in the morning, when an unknown app flashed secure track alert. Location data accessed. And just like that, the life I thought I knew was over. My blood ran cold. The man I'd shared my bed with for 16 years, my husband Paul, was fast asleep beside me, his back turned, a familiar distance that had settled between us like a shroud over the past few weeks. I tried to dismiss the alert, to convince myself it was a glitch, but a terrifying instinct pulled me deeper. This wasn't some random pop-up. This was a digital invasion. Asterisk, how long had it been there? Who put it on my phone? And why? Asterisk, my hands shook as I carefully, slowly, navigated my settings. There it was, secure track, running silently, insidiously in the background. My breath hitched. I opened it, and a map popped up, showing everywhere I'd been that week. Every coffee with Caitlin, every quick stop for Paul's anniversary gift. It was all there, laid bare. The room suddenly felt tiny, suffocating, crushing me under the weight of what I was seeing. I slipped out of bed, heart pounding, and made my way to the kitchen. My 15-year-old daughter, Alyssa, was blissfully unaware, sleeping just down the hall, while her mom's life unraveled under the harsh glare of my phone screen. Under the kitchen light, the truth became even uglier. It wasn't just tracking where I went. It had everything, my texts, my call history, even my internet searches. Each new discovery felt like a physical punch to my gut, stealing my breath. Asterisk, who could have done this? Who would want to? Asterisk, the house was silent, except for the low hum of the refrigerator. The quiet made everything feel impossibly strange. Then, another buzz. Secure track. Audio recording in progress. My heart stopped. Audio recording? I fumbled through the app, fingers shaking, until I found a folder labeled recordings. The newest file was from 3 days ago. I tapped it, and my own voice, distant and tiny, filled the silent kitchen. "I don't know, Caitlin," I heard myself say. "Paul's been acting different lately, working late, always on his phone." My blood ran to ice. Someone had been listening to my private conversations. Someone had been tracking everywhere I went. And for an app like this to be installed, someone would have needed physical access to my phone. Footsteps upstairs. My breath hitched. They were heading toward the bedrooms. A moment later, I realized it was just Paul, probably getting up for the bathroom. But for the first time in 16 years of marriage, the sound of his footsteps made my skin crawl. I snapped the app shut, deleted the alerts. My instinct screamed, asterisk, don't react. Don't give yourself away. Gather proof. Make a plan, asterisk, my students would never believe their calm, Shakespeare-quoting English teacher could think so strategically. When I got back in bed, I lay awake, listening to Paul's steady breathing. My thoughts were a swirling tempest. The man I trusted for so long, the father of my child, my partner, he was hiding something. But why track me? Or was this part of something even bigger? One thing was clear, I couldn't confront him. Not yet. Not until I figured out what I was truly dealing with. Tomorrow, I'd start digging. Tomorrow, I'd begin to untangle whatever secret was wrapped around my life. Just as I finally drifted off, my phone buzzed again. Half asleep, I nearly ignored it. Then I saw it. A text from an unknown number, "Be careful what you look for, Sabrina. Some truths are better left buried." Morning came too soon, heavy with the weight of unslept hours. I forced myself through the motions, packing Alyssa's lunch, my hands trembling slightly as I tried to project a normal, calm facade. Paul walked into the kitchen, crisp in his blue suit. He barely met my eyes. "Big meeting today?" I asked, my voice holding more steel than I thought possible as I watched his face for any flicker of guilt. "Yeah," he muttered, stirring his coffee. "Probably won't be home for dinner. The Morrison account needs extra attention." The Morrison account, the same excuse he'd used 4 times in the past 3 weeks. My chest tightened. I wanted to scream, to shove the phone in his face, to demand answers. But instead, I swallowed the rage, nodded, and turned back to making Alyssa's sandwich. "Mom, have you seen my USB drive?" Alyssa called, walking in, her dark hair still damp from her shower. "The blue one with all my coding projects." "Check the living room," I said, grateful for the distraction. "I think you were working there last night." Alyssa stopped, her eyes flicking between Paul and me. She was always sharp, too smart for her own good sometimes. Her gaze narrowed as she noticed the space between us, the way we avoided touching. As Paul brushed past me to grab his briefcase, she said, "Dad, you promised to help me with my computer science project this weekend. Remember? The one about digital privacy and security?" I froze, nearly dropping the knife. Paul's shoulders stiffened. "Sorry, sweetheart," he said, his voice strained. "Something came up at work. Maybe next weekend." Alyssa's face fell, but then hardened with something new. Suspicion, right? "Work again," she said softly. Paul leaned down, kissed her forehead, and headed for the door. "Love you both," he called out, but the words felt empty, rehearsed. After he left, Alyssa turned to me. "Mom, what's going on?" "What do you mean?" I asked, busying myself with breakfast dishes. "Dad's been acting weird, and you." She hesitated. "You look like you haven't slept. Plus, you're washing that same plate for the 3rd time." I set the plate down, forcing a smile. "It's just work stress, honey. You know how it gets during final season." "Mom," Alyssa said, crossing her arms. "I'm 15, not 4. I know something's wrong. I heard you up last night." Before I could come up with a reply, my phone buzzed again. A new secure track alert. Audio recording saved. Kitchen 6:30 a.m. I snatched it before Alyssa could see, a cold dread washing over me. "He recorded that? Our conversation, I need to get to school early." I blurted, grabbing my purse. "Teacher's meeting. Will you be okay taking the bus?" Alyssa's face crumpled, etched with hurt and confusion. "Sure, whatever." The drive to school was a blur. Once parked, I pulled out my phone, fingers hovering over Caitlin's number. She was my rock. My oldest friend, working in IT security. If anyone could help, it was her. But just as I was about to call, another text came through from the same unknown number. "Careful who you trust, Sabrina. Caitlin might not be the friend you think she is." My blood ran cold. How did they know I was about to call Caitlin? Unless, I glanced around the parking lot, a primal fear clutching at my throat. Was my phone's camera watching me right now? A knock on my window made me jump. It was just Dave from the English department, looking concerned. "You okay, Sabrina? The meeting's about to start." "Yeah, coming," I said, grabbing my bag. As I walked, my mind raced. I couldn't trust my phone. I couldn't trust my husband. Maybe I couldn't even trust Caitlin. And worst of all, I was starting to see cracks in my relationship with Alyssa, the one person I was trying so hard to protect from all of this. I walked into the school building, and my phone buzzed again. The message read, "Smart girl, your daughter. Maybe she should look into that computer science project more carefully. Lots of interesting things to learn about digital privacy these days." That was it. A sickening, direct threat involving my child. My breaking point. No one, absolutely no one, threatens my daughter. Tony Stark's office felt like a refuge, tucked between a laundromat and a takeout place. The private investigator, as worn as his chair, flipped through my screenshots. Secure Track Pro, he mused, sliding off his glasses. High-end. Not an App Store download. Can you trace it? I asked, my voice thin. He nodded slowly. Already did. Purchased 5 weeks ago through a shell company. But here's where it gets interesting. He turned his computer screen toward me. The buyer used your home address for billing. My stomach dropped. Paul. It was a bitter taste on my tongue. That's not all, Tony continued, clicking through more files. The shell company's been busy. They've been making regular payments to a rental property in Oakwood Heights. Fancy place, too. Pricey for one person, unless someone else is helping with the rent, I finished, the words like ash in my mouth. Bingo. He pulled up a photo. My heart plummeted. There he was. Paul, walking out of the building with a woman I didn't recognize. Younger, effortlessly beautiful, the kind of person who didn't have to try. His hand rested on the small of her back in a way that was far too familiar. Erica Carr, Tony supplied. Works at Paul's firm, junior partner, rising star. I focused on the dates. These are from the nights he said he was working late on the Morrison account, I muttered. Tony hesitated, then said, the spyware. It wasn't his idea. I looked up, startled. From the email trail I found, he explained, Erica pushed for it. She's been encouraging him to make a clean break. A clean break? I asked, my voice shaky. From you and Alyssa. He slid a folder across the desk. These are all the files I pulled, including. He tapped one document. A consultation with a divorce attorney last week. The room felt too bright. The smell of Italian food wafting through the wall made me feel sick. Why the spyware then, if he's planning to leave? I asked. Insurance, maybe? Or control. People do strange things when they're living double lives. My phone buzzed again. Another secure track notification, but I ignored it. I showed Tony the message. His face darkened. They're watching you, he said quietly. Probably through your phone's camera. He grabbed a sticky note and scribbled down a number. Here, this is a burner phone. Use it to contact me from now on. And Sabrina, he looked at me, his tone serious. Be careful. People who use surveillance like this, they're not just messing around. As I walked to my car, another text popped up. Tick-tock, Sabrina. How long before Alyssa finds out her mother is sneaking around, too? I sat in the driver's seat, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. They were trying to mess with my head. To make me doubt myself, to make me feel guilty for uncovering their lies. My phone rang. It was Paul. Hey, he said, his tone casual, smooth as if nothing was wrong. Just checking if you can pick up Alyssa today. My meeting's running late. Meeting, right, I wondered if Erica was with him right then, maybe running her fingers through his hair the way I used to. Actually, I said, my voice steady, I have a meeting too. With the Morrison account. The silence on his end was deafening. The Morrison account, he finally stammered. Yeah, I said, starting my car. Funny thing about that account, Paul. They closed their business 5 months ago. I didn't wait for his reply. But hey, enjoy your meeting. Say hi to Erica for me. I hung up before he could respond, my heart pounding a furious rhythm. Through the windshield, I caught a glimpse of my reflection. I looked pale, scared. But there was something else there now, too. Something harder. Something utterly determined. My phone lit up with his number again. I declined the call, and then I opened the Secure Track app. If they wanted to watch me, fine. Let them see what happens when they push someone too far. I'd planned to go to Erica's apartment, but instead, I found myself back in my classroom, staring at a stack of unsigned permission slips for tomorrow's field trip. Alyssa appeared in the doorway. "You missed breakfast again," she said, dropping her backpack by my desk. "And Dad didn't come home last night." I forced a smile. "He texted, 'Honey, late meeting.'" Alyssa's voice cracked. "Just stop lying to me." The fluorescent lights buzzed, casting a harsh glow on her face. Her eyes, once so innocent, now held a sharp, knowing edge. "I found something on Dad's laptop," she said, pulling out her phone. "Remember when he asked me to help organize his work files last weekend?" "There were emails," she interrupted. "A lot of them. To someone named Erica. He's planning to leave us, isn't he?" Before I could answer, a student appeared at the door. "Mrs. Matthew, Principal Owen needs to see you. He says it's urgent." I found Paul waiting in the principal's office, sitting next to Mr. Owen. Paul wore his courtroom smile, the one he used when he was about to tear someone's reputation apart on the stand. "Sabrina," Owen began, shifting uncomfortably. "Serious allegations have been made. There's a claim about inappropriate contact with a private investigator during school hours and concerns about your emotional stability affecting your teaching." The trap was closing. Paul had gotten ahead of me, spinning the story to suit his narrative. Of course he had, manipulating narratives was his specialty. "I'm worried about you, honey," Paul said, his voice dripping with fake concern. "The paranoia, the accusations, the secret meetings. This isn't like you. Let me help you." Help? Like he'd helped by planting spyware on my phone? Like he'd helped by planning a divorce behind my back while pretending to be the perfect husband? "Mrs. Matthew has suggested you take a leave of absence," Owen added. "Get things sorted out." My phone buzzed. Another Secure Track alert. Probably recording every word of this conversation. They were building their case, trying to make me look paranoid. Unfit to teach, unfit to parent. "I have proof," I said quietly, my voice steady despite the tremor in my soul. Paul's smile faltered for just a moment. "Proof of everything," I continued. "The spyware you and Erica installed on my phone. The shell company, the apartment in Oakwood Heights." I turned to Owen. "I also have recordings of every conversation from the past 5 weeks. Yes, including conversations with students and parents. I wonder how the school board would feel about that kind of privacy violation." Owen's face went pale. "Privacy violation?" he stammered. "I'll email you the evidence," I said, standing up. "But right now, I need to speak to my daughter." "She found the emails, Paul. The ones to Erica, about leaving us." Paul's confident mask cracked, revealing a flicker of panic. "Alyssa found them?" "Yes," I said sharply. "So, while you're here trying to ruin my career to cover your tracks, our daughter is sitting in my classroom trying to figure out why her father is abandoning her." I walked out, leaving them stunned and scrambling for words. In the hallway, my phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't Secure Track. It was a text from Tony. "Got something big. Erica's not who she claims to be. Meet as soon as possible." Back in my classroom, Alyssa was still there, her laptop open, lines of code scrolling across the screen. "What are you doing?" I asked, my voice shaky. "Fighting back," she said, not looking up. "Did you know most spyware have backdoors that can be hacked? Dad really should have done better research before buying it." I watched her fingers fly across the keyboard. Her face focused and determined. In that moment, she looked so much like me. Not the scared, gaslit version I'd been lately, but the strong, fearless version I used to be. The version I needed to find again. "Mom," Alyssa said, finally looking up, her voice low. "I found something else in the app's code. Something bad. Really bad. I don't think this is just about Dad's affair anymore." My phone buzzed. This time it wasn't the unknown number. It was from Erica herself. "We need to talk. Your husband isn't the only one being blackmailed. Meet me tonight." Alyssa's face was lit by the blue glow of her laptop as we sat in Tony Stark's dimly lit office. "It's not just spyware," she explained, her fingers flying across the keyboard. "It's part of something bigger. Look at these network connections." Tony leaned closer, squinting at the code. "These IP addresses, they're routing through law firms across the state. Paul's firm isn't the only one involved." "How many?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. 17 so far," she said. "They're all using the same spyware, all tied to one central server. And get this, they're all handling high-profile divorce cases." Tony let out a low whistle. "Surveillance footage, private conversations, location data. That's a gold mine for manipulating divorce settlements." My phone buzzed again. Another message from Erica. "They're watching. Don't trust Paul. Meet me at Millvale Riverfront Park in 45 minutes." "It's a trap," Tony said, reading the message over my shoulder. "Probably," I replied, grabbing my coat. "But she's scared. You didn't hear her voice in the recordings Alyssa found." "Wait." Alyssa turned her laptop toward me. "Look at this email thread. Erica tried to back out 4 weeks ago. The next day, someone sent her this." The attachment showed Erica leaving a building I recognized immediately, a women's shelter where I volunteered. She was helping a young woman inside. Both of them glancing nervously over their shoulders. "Her sister," Tony said quietly. "She's been hiding from an abusive ex for 5 months. Erica's been helping her stay off the grid." My stomach churned as the pieces fell into place. They were using her sister to control her. "Mom," Alyssa said, her voice trembling. "There's something else. Remember that college fund Dad started for me last month?" My chest tightened. "What about it?" "The money? It's not mine. It's being funneled through shell companies. The same ones paying for the spyware." She hesitated, her voice heavy with disbelief. "Dad's helping them launder money." The room spun as the weight of it all crashed down on me. Paul wasn't just having an affair or spying on me. He was part of something far darker. Something that could ruin not just our marriage, but his career, his freedom, and everything we had built. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a video. It showed Alyssa walking home from school yesterday. Beneath it was a single line. "Back off or she's next." "They're bluffing," Tony started. But I was already on my feet, heading for the door. "Mom, stop." Alyssa called after me. "We need a plan." "I have one," I said, turning back to see my daughter's worried face. She looked so much older than her 15 years. "I'm ending this tonight." "Not alone." "You're not," Alyssa shot back, grabbing her laptop. "I can hack their network. Shut down the spyware remotely. Give you a window." "Absolutely not," I said firmly. "It's too dangerous." "More dangerous than you meeting Erica alone?" she challenged, her chin raised defiantly. "They're already threatening me. At least let me fight back." Tony cleared his throat. "The kid's got a point. You need backup. I've got a friend in the FBI cybercrime division. One call." "No," I shook my head, thinking about Erica's sister and all the others being blackmailed. "Not yet. If we scare them off too soon, people could get hurt. We need to know exactly what we're dealing with first. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a photo of Paul entering a building I didn't recognize, followed by a message. "TikTok, Sabrina. Your husband's about to make a deal. A deal that can't be undone. Choose wisely." I looked at Alyssa, my brave, brilliant daughter who refused to be a victim, and at Tony, who had become more than just an investigator. They were my allies in this chaos. "Okay," I said at last. "Here's what we're going to do. Alyssa, you and Tony will work on accessing their network, but you stay here where it's safe. I'll meet Erica and find out what she knows." "And then?" Tony asked, his voice steady as I replied. "And then we burn it all down, every last bit of it." As I left the office, I heard Alyssa's fingers flying across her keyboard. I couldn't help but smile grimly. They thought they could scare a mother by threatening her child. They were about to learn how dangerous that mistake would be. Millvale Riverfront Park was eerily quiet when I arrived. Erica sat alone on a bench near the water, a fragile shadow of the confident woman in Tony's photos. "They're watching," she said without looking up. But Alyssa's program worked. "We have about 10 minutes before the spyware kicks back online." I sat beside her, keeping a safe distance. "Tell me about my husband's deal." "It's not just Paul," she said, her hands trembling as she handed me a USB drive. "The firm's been running this for years. They install spyware on their own clients' devices, collect dirt on both sides during divorces, and use it to manipulate settlements. The money laundering, that's just extra profit." My phone buzzed. A text from Alyssa. "Mom, something's wrong. Dad's not at the office. He's..." The message cut off. My blood ran cold. Behind me, a voice I knew all too well said, "Going somewhere, Sabrina? I really wish you'd stayed out of this." Paul stepped out of the shadows, and he wasn't alone. 3 men in expensive suits flanked him, their faces cold, impassive. "The thing is," Paul continued, moving closer, "you were never supposed to find the spyware. That was Erica's mistake." He shot her a sharp, disappointed look. "She got sloppy." "Like you got sloppy with a college fund," I cut in, stepping in front of Erica. "Money laundering through our daughter's account. That's low, even for you." "It's called protecting our future," he replied, his smile empty. "Everything I've done was for us. The firm's offering me partner, Sabrina, real power. All I had to do was prove my loyalty by spying on your own families. By showing I know how to play the game." He gestured to the men beside him. "Now, we can handle this quietly. The firm is willing to be generous. A clean divorce, full custody of Alyssa, a comfortable settlement. All you have to do is walk away." My phone buzzed in my pocket. A message from Tony. "FBI on the way. Stall him." "And if I don't walk away?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. Paul's expression turned cold. "Then things get complicated for everyone." He held up his phone, showing a live feed of the women's shelter where Erica's sister was staying. "And maybe that bright future Alyssa has in computer science disappears, too. It would be a shame if she got caught hacking corporate servers." "You'd threaten your own daughter?" I asked, my voice shaking with rage. The words tasted bitter. "I'm protecting her," Paul said, stepping closer, his tone softened, almost pleading, teaching her how the world really works. "Come on, Sabrina. Take the deal. We can all walk away from this." Behind me, Erica let out a soft, broken sound. I thought about her sister, about all the families the scheme had hurt, and about Alyssa, who had just seen her father for who he truly was. "You're right about one thing," I said quietly. "This ends tonight." I pulled out my phone and turned the screen toward him. A live stream was playing. Paul's entire confession being sent directly to Tony and the FBI with backup saved to secure servers. Paul's face went pale. "You didn't come alone," he said hoarsely. "Neither did you," I replied. Flashlights suddenly cut through the darkness as FBI agents emerged from behind the trees. Paul's 3 friends vanished without a word, leaving him alone as the agents closed in. "Sabrina, please," he begged, his confident mask utterly gone. "Everything I did was for us, for Alyssa." "No," I said, watching as the agents cuffed him. "Everything you did was for yourself." My phone buzzed one last time. A message from an unknown number. "This isn't over. The firm protects its own." I looked around the park. Paul was being led away, his world collapsing. Erica sobbed in relief as agents reassured her that her sister was safe. My life, the one I had worked so hard to build, was in ruins. The firm would strike back. My career might be over. Our savings were likely gone. And somewhere in Tony's office, my teenage daughter had just witnessed her father choose power over family. But as I stood in the darkness, watching Paul's downfall, one thing was certain. I wasn't scared anymore. I realized something important. Sometimes you have to let everything burn to see what's truly worth saving. My phone buzzed again. It was Alyssa. "Mom, you okay?" No, I wasn't okay. But for the first time in weeks, I knew exactly what I was fighting for. The holding cell at the federal building wasn't what I'd imagined. Paul sat inside, still in his expensive suit, looking both powerful and pitiful under the harsh fluorescent lights. 2 FBI agents stood outside, but had given us privacy. "You could have taken the deal," Paul said quietly. "We could have kept our family." "Our families," I repeated, placing the USB drive Erica had given me on the table between us. "Let's talk about family, Paul. Let's talk about the 25 other families your firm destroyed this year alone." His jaw tightened. "You don't understand how things work in my world." "I understand perfectly." I slid a stack of printouts across the table. Bank statements, emails, surveillance logs. You chose power over people, money over morality, and now you're choosing your firm over your daughter. "Leave Alyssa out of this," he said, his voice rising. "You brought her into this," I shot back, my voice steady, even though my hands shook. "You used her college fund to launder money. You threatened her future to protect your scheme." A knock at the door made us both jump. I turned to see Alyssa standing there, Tony right behind her. I hadn't expected her. I wanted to shield her from this, but the determined look in her eyes reminded me so much of myself. "I want to talk to him," she said, stepping into the room. Paul's face crumpled. "Sweetheart, don't." Alyssa sat beside me, her laptop open. "I found something in the spyware code," she said, her voice steady, but laced with anger. "Something Mom doesn't know about yet." My heart stopped. Paul's face went pale. "The program wasn't just recording conversations," Alyssa continued. "It was fabricating them, creating fake evidence to use against your clients' spouses. And Mom." She turned the laptop toward us, her voice trembling slightly. "They were building a case against you too." I stared at the screen. Audio files manipulated, photos faked, conversations fabricated. A complete, insidious history of inappropriate behavior designed to ruin me. "Insurance," Paul whispered. "In case you ever found out, in case you ever became a threat." The anger I'd been holding back boiled over. "You are going to destroy my career? Take Alyssa away from me?" "The firm required leverage on everyone involved," Paul said. He reached for Alyssa's hand, but she pulled it away. "You would have used it," Alyssa said sharply. "Just like you used Erica's sister against her. Just like you used everyone." A commotion outside drew our attention. Through the window, I saw Erica being led in by agents. Her face streaked with tears, but her posture strong, determined. Behind her came a line of men in suits, the firm's senior partners. Their air of power was gone, replaced by panic as federal agents marched them inside. "They're all turning on each other," Tony said, appearing in the doorway. "The whole house of cards is falling apart." Paul stood abruptly, his desperation plain on his face. "Sabrina, please." I looked at him. The man I'd once trusted with everything, and felt nothing but cold disgust. "It's over, Paul." "I can still fix this," Paul pleaded, his voice desperate. "The firm has connections, resources." "Stop," Alyssa said sharply, cutting him off. Her voice was steady, her words clear. "Just stop lying." She stepped closer to him, her gaze unwavering. "Mom found the spyware, but I found the truth. I cracked their encryption." "Me? Your daughter? The same one you were ready to sacrifice." Alyssa stood, gathering her laptop, her expression a mix of anger and resolve. "I used to think you were the smartest person I knew. Now I see you're just another bully who thought he could control everyone with their secrets." She turned to me. "Can we go home now, Mom?" Paul reached out again. "Alyssa, everything you did was for yourself," she said coldly, cutting him off again. "Mom protected me." "You only protected your power." As we walked toward the door, Paul called after us one last time. "What happens now?" I paused. I looked at my daughter, the amazing person she had become through all of this. I looked at Tony, a true friend who had stood by us, and I glanced out the window at Erica, who had finally chosen truth over fear. Then I met Paul's eyes. "Now we rebuild." "Without you." Alyssa slipped her hand into mine as we left, leaving Paul's carefully constructed world to collapse behind us. But ahead of us, there was something new. A future built on truth instead of lies, strength instead of control, and love instead of fear. My phone buzzed as we stepped outside. It was a message from the school board. "Position secure. Evidence of firm's manipulation cleared. When can you return to teaching?" I smiled, squeezing Alyssa's hand. There was still a lot of healing to do, but for the first time in months, the path forward felt clear. 5 months later, I stood in our new, smaller apartment, watching Alyssa set up her computer station in what used to be the dining area. It wasn't the house we'd lived in for years, but it felt more like home than that hollow shell ever did. "Mom!" Alyssa called, her voice electric. The cybersecurity program accepted me for their summer workshop. I walked over to see the acceptance email on her screen, my heart swelling with pride. Things had changed so much in half a year. The trial was still ongoing, but Paul had pleaded guilty to reduce charges in exchange for testifying against the firm. The scandal had shaken the legal community, exposing similar schemes at law firms across the state. My phone buzzed with a message from Erica. "Coffee tomorrow? Caitlin's coming, too. We need your input on the shelter's new security system." I smiled. Erica, the woman I'd once feared, now an ally. She had dedicated herself to helping other women escape controlling relationships, using her insider knowledge to strengthen the shelter's protections. "Think fast." Alyssa tossed a small package my way. I caught it, a USB drive shaped like a key. "It's clean," she said with a grin. I laughed, holding the drive in my hand. "So are we." We could laugh about it now, but those weeks of uncovering the spyware had changed both of us. Alyssa had turned her pain into purpose, becoming the youngest intern at Tony's new cybersecurity consulting firm. And me? I was Professor Matthew again. "Professor Matthew." A student's voice called from my laptop. Right. Office hours. Even through video chat, teaching felt different now. Better, more meaningful. "Just a minute." I called back, then turned to Alyssa. "Dinner at 6. Caitlin's bringing that pasta you like." Can't, she said, packing her bag. I'm meeting Tony and his FBI friend to talk about the workshop curriculum. She paused, her expression softening. Dad's sentencing is next week. The room seemed quiet for a moment. We'd received letters from Paul, full of apologies, explanations, and promises to change. They sat unopened in my desk drawer. Some bridges, once burned, weren't meant to be rebuilt. My phone buzzed. An unknown number. You thought you won, but power always protects its own. I showed it to Alyssa. She was already typing. Traced it. Just another bitter ex-partner from the firm. Want me to send it to Tony? No, I said, deleting the message. Some people never learn that real power isn't about control. The doorbell rang. Caitlin was early. She and I were preparing for an upcoming educational conference on digital privacy in schools. Funny how my nightmare had turned into something that could help others. Coming! I called, but Alyssa was already opening the door. She and Caitlin had grown close, bonding over coding and their shared love of terrible sci-fi movies. Hey, warrior women! Caitlin said, walking in with bags of takeout. Ready to change the world? I glanced around our cozy home, Alyssa's workspace, where she helped people protect their privacy. My conference notes were spread across my desk. Caitlin's friendship with Erica had grown as they worked together to secure the shelter. You know what's funny? I said, grabbing plates from the cabinet. When all of this started, I thought it was about revenge, making Paul pay for what he did to us. It wasn't, Alyssa said, setting up her laptop. It was about deciding who we wanted to be after the betrayal. Caitlin raised an eyebrow. When did you get so wise, kid? When my mom showed me that strength isn't about controlling others, Alyssa said with a smile. It's about helping others find their own strength. My phone buzzed. This time it was Tony. Got that teaching position approved. You start the cybersecurity awareness program next semester. Alyssa's curriculum suggestions were brilliant. I laughed, holding the phone up for Alyssa to see. Looks like we've got more work ahead. Alyssa grinned. Good. We're just getting started. I looked at my daughter, this incredible person who hadn't just grown through our challenges, but had become stronger because we faced them together. I looked at Caitlin, who had become more than just a friend, and at the life we had built from the ashes of betrayal. Some scars never fully heal, but they remind us of how strong we are. And sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying those who hurt us. It's about creating something better from the ruins they left behind. So, tell me in the comments below, have you ever had a moment where everything you thought was real just crumbled? What did you decide was truly worth fighting for? I'd really love to hear your stories.